Welcome to Moe's Paisley Penny Arcade. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello, and how are you doing? I'm Mo, and today I think we're going to have a good one. I really am looking forward to today. And, Renee's in the chat room. Hello, Renee. And welcome. Chat room. Well, if you're watching live, all you have to do is go to YouTube at moabdelbaki.com. I should probably make that simpler, but you know how it goes. That's MoAbdelbaki. Yes, indeed. Not so tough, after all. But today is a tarot show, and I do a lot of tarot shows because I am a tarot guy. Well, I'm a lot of guys. I do astrology. I do palmistry. Look into my hands. Look into my hands. And all sorts of metaphysics, numerology of a kind. The real numerology expert is Christine de Maurier. And you should look at her show, The Through Line. And she's an expert on it. And hi, Pamela. Yeah, how you doing? Welcome to the room. And come on in if you're listening. And if you don't want to come into the room, you know, I don't make fun of people. I wouldn't anyway. A lot of meanness in the world. Have you noticed? Holy cannoli, there's a lot of meanness in the room. Yeah, but not in the room. Not in the room. Our room is not mean, you know. Oh, Anne, bonjour. It's very nice to catch you. Well, it's very nice to see you. Very nice to have you here. So, what is today's show about? Well, I think it's a pretty special show. It is for me. Today I'm going to discuss tarot, but more than that, the major arcana and what the major cards originally meant, at least in my opinion. And I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm so. Charlene Marie, happy to be here. First time in the room. Well, welcome, Charlene Marie. It's so nice to have you. Welcome into the room. And it is truly a joy to have you here. Truly a joy. Welcome. Come to the room. You can talk to me, and I'll talk back at you, to you, not at you. And, you know, we can have a lively conversation. So I've got a lot to cover today, and that doesn't mean I won't wander. I do wander. Yes, I do. But what brought this about was there's a tarot group that it's called All Things Tarot on Facebook, and predominantly the people in that group are Rider-Waite aficionados. Yes, they are, and I'm a Crowley man, and I'm my own deck man. As a matter of fact, I have created my own deck of cards, and they don't you go falling. Excuse me. Yeah, the Rider-Waite deck is saying, Mo, you don't use us. Never have. I have, actually. When my dad was in the hospital, he had a terminal disease, and I was there, and a group of people, friends of my brother, said, we hear you do tarot. And I said, yes. I said, they said, would you please do readings for us? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm here because my father is dying. And, you know, said, please, Bo. So I ended up, I said, I don't have a deck of cards with me. I could have used playing cards just fine, but I was trying to find a way out. And someone said, well, I've got cards. And they brought a Rider deck. And I did readings for about 4 hours solid for my brother's friends. And it was quite an illuminating afternoon for reasons I won't get into here. But they were nice people, really nice folks. And yeah, I can do that. I can do it. So anyway, I'll be using those to kind of explain, except for one card that's missing, and that's the very last one, the world. Crowley's is the universe, and mine too, because I read the Crowley deck for so very long. It's fun when I wander. Is that right, Pamela? Yeah, not everyone may think so, but that's what I do. So what this is from, let's talk just a wee bit here about Tarot and what Tarot is. Tarot is now, and this group, they predominantly, I think almost all of them use the Rider-Waite deck, most of them. And that deck was, turn of the 19th century, I think about 1912. The Fool. Oh, all right, Charlene, you will learn some things, maybe. And please, these are my theories. I think they're pretty right. And I think you may agree with me by the time we're done. And 1912 or so, Arthur Edward Waite was a member of the Golden Dawn, which was started by Wynne Westcott and S.L. MacGregor Mathers. Wynne Westcott was Queen Victoria's Surgeon General, so to speak. He did not eat roadkill that I know of. He was actually a doctor. And S.L. MacGregor Mathers was a mystic they had found. One of them found, supposedly in a bookstall somewhere, some Rosicrucian papers. They supposedly went to Germany and got a patent, so to speak, a permission to start a magical group in London. It was called the Golden Dawn. And you had to be rich. Or I guess they let some people in on what we would call kind of a scholarship. And Bram Stoker was supposedly a member of the Golden Dawn. A lot of famous people were members. Aubrey Beardsley later on, the erotic artist. Yes, that's exactly what you thought it was. And so on and so forth. Yeats, I believe, was a member. Keats, I think, was a member. I could be wrong. I knew a lot of people who were members. And Arthur Edward Waite was a member for a while. And Aleister Crowley was a member, and he actually splintered the Dawn, destroyed it, more or less. And he started his own things after that, and yada, 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 as they say, the kids say, not nowadays. But one of the things that you had to do in the Dawn was create your own deck. And if you couldn't draw, you would get someone to draw it for you. And oftentimes it was done just like that if you weren't an artist. And so Waite got Pamela Coleman Smith, known as Pixie. And it's the most popular deck on the planet. It really is, although there are thousands of decks. I drew my own deck. I'm more of a cartoonist than anything else. Here's the back of my deck. Here is my deck right here. And you can see that I'm sitting with our puppy at the time, who was named Trudy. And there is, we no longer have Trudy. She was such a good girl. And there's Harvey, a form of Harvey, who is a puka. Puka is a Welsh spirit animal. And I've always been fond of Harvey. From about the time I was about 15 years old when I first saw the movie. Mary Chase, who wrote the play and the book Harvey, lived right here in Denver. When I lived in Denver, had I known that, the poor woman would have had to have called the police to fend me off from sitting on her porch and weeping. I'm so fond of the movie with Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy Stewart often said it was his favorite role, Elwood P. Dowd. But it's whimsical, and most of the interesting stories of mysticism and so on and so forth came from Wales. It's said that Shakespeare went to Wales to get a lot of his lore and so on for Midsummer Night's Dream. Puck. Puka. Same word, just a little different type. Anyway, wandering. So anyway, Tarot, when it came out in the early 14th century, right around the 1300s or so on, It was a gambling game, nothing about fortune telling involved. And the church frowned upon such things, unless they got their cut, usually. Okay, don't get too mad. And one of the things that went on was that the cards were just kind of, it was about gambling. It still is a bidding game. If you look up French Tarot, okay, it's a game you can do an app, and I've played the game. I'm terrible at it. It's like bridge. I'm terrible at bridge. I made a lot of angry people angry. They were angry already, and then when they played with me, they become absolutely furious. And that was my first year of college in California, and they were just, oh my God, they were so mad. I never played the game before. And believe me, when I was the dummy, I was aptly named. I'd just sit there and go, okay. And boy, they tried to teach me because they needed another person, and then they tried to teach me the game. But tarot is a lot like bridge, and so the French tarot is a game with basically it's you against the other three players, not like bridge in our country, which is 2 against 2. There are games called Tarok and Toroki and so on and so forth. And it's a game, and that's how it started out, as a game. So in order to get past the censors, it started out with just pictures on cards, but the cards, actually they were just numbered cards, and then but that didn't go well. So what they had to do was they had to put pictures on them, and the pictures were specifically designed to slide under the censorship. And so it was very important that they do that. So Tarot today, especially the Rider-Waite deck, is a takeoff, if you will, on, and remember, this deck is over 100 years old, 1912 or so. So it still uses that symbolism. Now, I didn't worry about that. Because I knew the history, and I knew that I could just go ahead and do that. So, begin, shall we? Because there's a lot to cover. 22 cards. And some of them I'm not going to have to spend a lot of time on because they're pretty simple. But the more you know, the better off you are. Let's begin, Charlene Marie and the brothers, with a Fool. Now, the reason I'm using this one and not others is because this is probably the truest to the actual card that I believe it is. Who is this guy? Why is he carrying a bindle? Why does he have a little dog with him? Right now, who is he? My belief is that he is a guy named Tobias from the book of Tobit. Now, if you've never heard of the book of Tobit, chances are you're a Protestant or not religious or not a Christian or whatever. I know about it because I've done the research, okay? Tobias is from the book of Tobit. What is the book of Tobit? Well, it's a story. I'll put him down for just a second here. The book of Tobit is a story about a fellow, much like Job in the Bible. Job goes through a lot of trouble, right? And it's a story about a Hebrew fellow, a Jewish fellow, and he is exiled to a place called Nineveh, and there he was wealthy, and his money is somewhere else, and boy, he's had a hard time, and he remembers he has his money in a place called Media. I like that. It's probably Medea. It's spelled Media. I like that. And he realizes, well, I should be able to get some of this money back that I had because I'm kind of broke here and things aren't going so well. And, so let me call him my son, Tobias. And he calls his son Tobias. And he says, would you go over to Media there, and see, can't you just, go to this place called Media. And can't you, and this is an old story, I'm not making this up. Can't you go get my money? Can't you go see if you can get this? Now, the Lord, God, he says, I'm going to help him out. So he sends, because Tobias is young. He doesn't know what he's doing, right? He's not an idiot, but he's just very young, and this is a very dangerous trip. A very dangerous trip. And he sends Raphael. Now, what is pertinent about this? Well, Raphael just happens to be the kind of guardian of Tarot, for reasons I'm not going to get into here. But I've mentioned this before when talking about Tarot. Raphael is the sort of guardian angel of Tarot in Hermeticism, for reasons that maybe someday I'll explain again. It has to do with the 4 pillars of the universe and all that. And some of you may remember this. It has to do with the 4 pillars. And so Raphael comes down and he takes another form. He doesn't look like Raphael because that would blind everybody and, it wouldn't go well. So he's just looking like another young man. And he says, okay, now guess who tags along? A dog. A pet. And it's the only pet in the Bible. And this is also observed by Orthodox Catholics. They know this story. They've accepted it. So this young man, Raphael, between you and me, and Tobias, they head off to Media. And there's a young lady there named Sarah, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, they go through all these trials and tribulations, and a big fish attacks Tobias when he's swimming. Oh my God, what a story. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because if you look up in your search engine at some point, and after the show, just take your time. Tobias, especially in Renaissance renderings of Tobias, you're going to see this card. You're going to see a young, good-looking guy with a bindle, and that's what that is. It's also known as a waltzing Matilda. That's right. That's what a waltzing Matilda is. And you're going to see at his heels a dog, because the dog was also sent by the Lord as a sort of protector along with Raphael. That's right. So, and they do come back and everything's fine, and someone was supposed to be buried, and it was against the law for Tobit to bury him, but he does bury him, and because of that, the soul is very grateful, and he tells him that he's grateful, and that's the first instance we know of the Grateful Dead. And that's where the Grateful Dead, that sort of thing, is where the Grateful Dead got their name. And I'm a deadhead. There we are. I mean, we just had to bring it in, didn't we? You're going to hear something about that a little bit later. So the fool, it's not a fool. He's just on a fool's errand because it's so doggone dangerous. So he's protected. You've heard that old saying, the Lord protects fools and drunks. Well, it's not true about drunks, is it? Because we hear every day about someone who's drunk who crashes into someone and causes all sorts of havoc and goes to prison, and, that's it. So you can add to your ideal. You see, so someone back then in the 1400s, if they had a deck of cards, and you see what cards became were like sort of baseball cards, but instead of having Stan Musial, or Mickey Mantle, or in my era, Mickey Mantle and Yogi Berra, and then Sandy Koufax, and they were great. They were really great, especially Yogi. I liked Yogi Berra. He was cool, and all those guys. Roger Maris was cool. They had these guys, and anyone, any of the cards I'm going to talk to you about, anyone would have recognized who these people were and why they were on the card. It would not have been what does this mean? They would have said, I know who this is, and I know why he's on the card, because this represented divine protection. So when you see the Fool, and instead of there being any ambiguity, you say, there's protection here. Some sort of protection. And the dog, this puppy, represents protection. You know, dogs are amazing. I'm a dog guy, as you can tell. I'm a dog guy. And I only have a dog now, and I love my dog so very much. I just, you know. So that's the Fool. There you go. You can add that story to in some form or another, and Tobit does it with the help of Raphael, who is the patron of Tarot. Good? Yes? Now, here's, look what I found. My first deck of Tarot cards. Next year, next summer, I will have bought these cards 60 years ago. And now, is that far out or what? 60 years ago. And I had to pay like $13. I don't remember how much. They were like, like 13, $14. And I had to save up forever for these. This is the number 1 JJ. Oh, I always thought it was IJJ. Yeah, Tarot cards, 78 card deck made in Switzerland. This is, I believe, the first deck that Stuart Kaplan of the whatever U.S. Games Company imported into this country. And he did so because he knew a good thing when he saw it. Now look at the Fool. I set these up in order in case I couldn't find a rider deck. Look at his Fool. See? Now this was a Swiss deck used for playing the game, not for divination, just for playing the game. That Fool has nothing to do with the story I just told you. Can you see that? That's just for playing Le Mat, the madman, right? Okay. See? So, I've had this deck for 59 years. C'est bien, huh? Do I take care of stuff? I try. I'm a Taurus, you know. And I was a kid, and I had to mow lawns, and, you know, and I was getting like a dime a week, but I had saved up a lot. So that was kind of a big deal. Now, let's go to the magician. What was the deal with the magician? Right? Now, Charlene, I hope that answered something and gave you some more to think about with the Fool. Okay? If it didn't, let me know. Maybe I can help. Here we go. The magician. What is a magician? What is a magician? Now, notice that it shows the letter Aleph. Right? The John Travolta. Right? You see, it looks like Travolta there doing that move. It's not the letter Aleph, is it? The letter Beth in Hebrew. Let's not worry about it. Anyway, so the magician, well, every court had a magician. You know, presto changeo, cups and balls. They did that sort of thing. But what was the real function of a magician in court? It was assumed that the magician knew some real magic. Potions, voodoo, whatever you want to call it, okay? How to do some things here and there, how to cast a spell or two. But it was also assumed, and there's more to the Fool, understand, this is just the origins, that a magician knew the scams, that they knew what was right, what was wrong, what was real, what was phony, because these guys went through kingdoms and went through countries all the time, like John Dee and Edward Kelly. John Dee was Queen Elizabeth's magician, and he went from place to place, And they pulled some scams together, Edward Kelly and John Dee. Edward Kelly had had his ears cut off because he was a crook. And they swapped wives, and it's scandalous stuff. You should read about the two. Zach! Hey, how are you? My nephew's in the room. How are you doing, young man? It's awfully good to see you. I love you so much, Zach. He's a good kid. He's not. He's a young man. He has a voice like this. Well, not so much, but it's close. So the magician... Oh, good. Good, Charlie. Very good. Thank you so much. I'm glad it helped. So the magician is more than just about natural magic and stuff like that. The magician is about... bless you. Bless you, Zach. Me too. I love you. That makes me feel good. Tingly all over. So the magician is about smarts, intelligence, and knowing how to protect the kingdom and the people of that kingdom from con artists. That was one of the functions of the magician of the realm. Someone had to be trusted because these guys came through and ripped off entire nations all the time. Now, Edward Kelly and John Dee went through and ripped off Ludwig of Bavaria, I think it was. Bavaria? What am I, English? And went through and ripped him off for a lot of money. And eventually he threw them in prison for a while. And so this guy, when you look at this card, think smart, think intelligent, and think that these guys were often used because, and sometimes they would come in without the guy presenting stuff like the alchemist. I can turn base metals into gold. These guys had a network of information that they passed around. And so it was a very important post. These magicians were smart, and they were scientists as well. So they were supposed to know and keep up on information that was necessary to maintain the integrity of the system, right? Could someone just come in and rip you off? Better not, because if this guy failed at his or her job, okay? So the magician is vital to the integrity of the kingdom or whatever it was, okay? Different, isn't it? Very different, isn't it? So I see this card as investigatory. Is that a real word? It ought to be. This is smart. This is investigate. Look at things. I see this card as, are you being conned? Are you being, see? Do you get it? This is about, if you've known magicians, and I've known magicians all my life. I used to do some sleight of hand magic and that sort of thing. I don't dabble much, but I've sure known them. And I've done it myself, and because I was a yo-yo man and I hung out with them, and it was nice. They respected me for what I did as much as I respected them. And I knew the best. Boy, did I know the best. And I saw the best in the world. And the one thing about them is that there was no honor among thieves. But they despised chicanery and shenanigans. And they watched each other. And when there was something that went on that they didn't like, okay, they kept an eye. And if something was going on that they really, this is a very integritous card. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Who is the priestess? You have an idea, don't you? It's the Virgin Mary. Simple. What do the pomegranates represent? Can you see the pomegranates there? They're right there. They're red. They're in the tapestry behind her. Pomegranates represent purity in the Bible. They represent fertility because they're so laden with those seeds, right? purity, fertility. How fertile was she? Pretty fertile. Boom. Virgin birth. Right? So what we have is that this is very simple. She's got her feet at her feet is the lunar crescent, the lunar crescent. This image is indicative also of Isis. So add that in. And you see, the more you know, the more you can use. You can use this. And this is what happens. You load your mind with these images, and then the intuition chooses the right one at the right time. So, you know a lot about the Virgin Mary, right? Okay. When you see the priestess, you know that she was pure, and essentially, you know the story. Isis was a sorceress. There's no other word for it. She was indeed a sorceress. And she is the prototype image-wise. I'm not saying that she was the prototype, although we see the image of Mary holding the baby Jesus, and we see the images of Isis holding the baby Horus, so on and so forth. But I'm not saying that they're the same. I don't want to get, cards and letters. I love getting cards and letters if they're nice. I'm too old to be, hollered at. God knows, But if you feel you must, whatever. But the idea here is that now you know that there are layers upon layers. Tarot is not Egyptian. Please, don't make that mistake. And here are the two pillars, Boaz and Jachin. Boaz and Jachin. Strength and wisdom, essentially. Okay? You don't have to. You can check it out if you want and see what all that's about. Right? But don't waste a lot of time on it. All right. It's not worth it. So there you go. That's who that was. And anyone would have, in old days, they would have said, oh, how wonderful. A card that has the Virgin Mary. Now, I love that. You're not going to be persecuted for that. No iron bars for you. No rack for you. Here we have the Empress. What more needs to be said? Well, they didn't live in a democracy, right? No democracy. No, they had an empress. And so you had to pay homage. And so you're playing cards and, oh, there's an empress. And chances are the card that you had also had an emperor and whomever. And these cards were all hand-drawn and hand-painted. So the empress and the emperor were going to be the ones that were there at the time. And it was an awfully good rendition, I'm guessing, or else you were going to get, in trouble. So simple. So simple. So, Donald and Melania? No? Why not? But that's what it would be. Okay? So there really is no controversy about that. Now, in my opinion, see, I made my emperor a lighthouse keeper. Because in my mind, an emperor is someone who is bound by responsibility. And I've never really heard of much of a job that was more responsibility laden than a lighthouse keeper. You talk about a job. A lighthouse keeper had to, was on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. He slept, but man, And my empress is Sekhmet, because the lioness goddess was, let's see, I love your descriptions and logic that goes with it. Oh, well, thank you. It will make it easier to remember knowing the story behind it. Well, yeah, and these are stories that most people don't associate with. Here, aha. Welcome, my emperor. Here is my emperor. My lighthouse keeper, and you can see that he is on a foggy night standing in front of his first order Fresnel lens at night, looking out into the fog. I don't know if you can see him there, yeah. See? And I'm just vain enough to make that me without a beard. So there you are. Man, these guys worked. They worked. And they had to keep a garden, and they had to, in weather, they had to get all the snow off of that glass, and they had to polish the brass every day. That's an emperor, you know. And you see, the point is this. The concept of the emperor, thank you, by the way, so much for your comment. I appreciate that, is that the emperor was the go-between between deity and people. Oh, look at that arm shake. Ooh, I'm getting old. And he was the conduit between, the in-between between humanity here and deity. And that was the whole concept between like kings in ancient Egypt. And if he wasn't doing a good job, there would be a famine or there would be a drought. My God, we've been in a drought here in Colorado for a long time. Wonder. Anyway, let's not go there. Hierophant. Who was the Hierophant? What's a Hierophant? The word Hierophant means illuminator of the sacred. Fontus, light. Hiero, sacred. The illuminator of the sacred. This card shows it pretty well. As you can see, it's the Pope. Well, you're going to flatter the Pope. So kapai. The illuminator of the sacred. Right? Aleister Crowley showed a picture of Eliphas Levi. When I used to use that deck all the time, people would say, Mo, is that you? I'd say, no. Aleister Crowley died in 1945 or 47. I was born in 54, 7 years later. So no, it wasn't me. And I was a baby. I didn't have a beard then. I should show you the card. Here, a little sidetrack here. Let me show you the card. And you can see why people asked if it was me. And I had a beard before I started using this deck. These cards are gigantic, so it's a little hard to... but I will show you the deck. But Eliphas Levi, Alphonse Louis Constant, was a French occultist who died about the same time that Crowley was born. And Crowley believed himself, maybe he was, to be the reincarnation of Eliphas Levi. He was a great occultist. And the word occultist is not a bad thing. You know, it's just a misconception. The word occult means hidden. And the reason this stuff was hidden is because people were being hurt because of it, because it was misunderstood, because it was considered a very bad thing. And that was because of the oppression being put on people by society and organizations that wanted to stop people from, here's a fool, there's a fool, that's a fool. I know what this card is about. I'll show you my fool, and you'll go, what? Here we go. Here's Crowley's. Oops, Hierophant. And you can see why some people might say, let me see how you get that closer. Here we go. Mo, is that you? Yeah. And I had a big painting of this, poster of this in my reading room for years and years and years. No, that's not me. In the corner there, take a look. There's an eagle, a man, a bull, and a lion. Ox, really. Pay attention to that. Okay? Those are the cherubs or cherubs, cherubim. Those are very important because we're going to talk about in just a second, okay? Okay. But no, I'm not that. That's Eliphas Levi. And did you see those are masks? Look at this again. Masks. Why did Crowley have them as masks? Well, think about that. I studied this deck for 45 years. It's a long time to study a deck of cards. Broke my brain. Made me crazy. All right. Moving right along. Pope. The lovers. Simple. Adam and Eve. They're the lovers, right? Oh, well, thank you, Charlene Marie. I'm enjoying having you in the room. It's very nice. The lovers. Adam and Eve. Simple dimple. But it's more than that as well, because Adam and Eve did what? They made a boo-boo. They made a huge boo-boo. Right? Very much so. So we think about that. They erred. They did not obey. The card is also about alchemy and all sorts of things, but add that to your list. Okay? Here we go, the Chariot. This is a biggie. This is a huge card. Why? These sphinxy type things are known as cherubim. They're not known as exactly as sphinx. They're called hermetically cherubim. And why is that important? Because I just showed you. So if they're cherubim, then the guy in this chariot must be whom? Must be whom? Now, so there will be those who will argue with me. Let them. I'm okay. I've been argued with before. A lot. This could be the Bible is full of chariots. Full of chariots. And this is some decks show a chariot with, so there could be Solomon. It could be Solomon. I suppose it could be David. David does horrible things in the Bible. Oh my God. Jesus, he does terrible things. He lames an entire bunch of horses and then just keeps a few for himself. I mean, it's just horrible things that he does. He kills entire villages. I'm not a fan. Solomon ends up with peace and so on. But notice the canopy with the stars in the sky. Do you notice that? Who is this? This is the big guy himself, God. And what is the chariot? This is from the vision of Ezekiel, I believe. So, but it's a simplification of it, and it's the story of Ezekiel, and if you've ever read the book of Ezekiel, man, it is trippy. It's purple haze and window pane and orange sunshine. It's whatever he was on. I know it was the divine. It was, I'm being facetious. Please, don't take me seriously. It's being facetious. He was, so the chariot is about much more so than taking a trip. Because that's how a lot of people interpret this. Oh, you're going to take a vacation. Man, one heck of a vacation. This is about divine knowledge in some ways. Intuition, inspiration. It's about a lot more than that. I mean, the story of Ezekiel, read it. It's long. You might want to read the NIV, version. Don't read the King James because, you'll be pounding your head against the desk. But this is, okay? And we'll come back to this. So if this is the Almighty, and so I'm just telling you, you'll want to read that, okay? Right, make a note. Write the encapsulated version about them bones, them bones, them bones, them Dry bones, them bones, them bones, them dry bones. It's from the book of Ezekiel. He sees dry bones, and they gather up and they become animated. That's Ezekiel. God asks him to do terrible things. He lies on his side for 480 days with a little model of Jerusalem, and it's weird stuff. What about this? Strength. One of the 4 cardinal virtues: temperance, fortitude, prudence, and justice. That would have gotten away very easily. Some decks had, what were they? The 7 liberal arts and sciences. That's what it was. Grammar, rhetoric, logic, arithmetic, geometry, geography, and astronomy. 7. Wow, what's wrong with me? Anyway, so here we are. Strength. That's fortitude. Where is this from? Why would this get by? This is the angel in Daniel's lion den. What is that story about? Well, Nebuchadnezzar says to Daniel, I think it's Nebuchadnezzar, I could be wrong, could be Herod, I don't know, I get those guys mixed up. It says, Daniel, you and your buddies, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, need to change your names. And Daniel says, not me. We have Hebrew names, we like them. We're not changing them. He says, you must. He says, no. And he loved Daniel because Daniel was a prophet, and Daniel could tell, he had dreams, and his dreams were correct. And he says, nope, you must change your name. He says, I will not change my name. He says, well, I have to do this because the law is the law. I've got to try and do this, and I have to try and boil you, and I have to try and, you have to peel potatoes. I'm kidding. I know it's sacred. And he throws him in a lion's den. And people are like, oh, I don't want to watch this. But they look in, and what do they see? They see an angel who is actually holding the mouths of the lions shut. It's not what's happening here. I guess it is. Strength. Protection. Strength. Gives you a little different view of the card, doesn't it? You can go into something, and Daniel held his ground. He never changes his name. If you know you're right, and you get this card, stick with it. Don't give up. Crowley calls this card lust. He was a different guy than Arthur Edward Wade. Hello, Mark. Oh, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Mark and I have known each other for 1 billion years. And I mean that literally. We've probably known each other through lifetimes. My brother from another mother. Mark used to own the 12th House bookstore, where I was a reader back in the day. First bookstore, the only bookstore I ever read at. That's correct English now. It's ending with a preposition. It's been okayed by the OED, the Oxford English Dictionary. Thank you, Brits. Thank you, Mark. If you're not subscribing to Mark on his show, you should be. And if you're not checking in at 12listen.com, you should be. Because if you need a reading, that's where you go. The Hermit. Who is this? Who is this guy? He's grumpy. I've met him when I meditated on the cards. And if you're not meditating on the cards, we'll do an entire show about that. Who's you know who it is, Mo. It's us. Oh, yeah. Okay. St. Anthony is who this is. And anyone who found these cards that you were playing with to make money would have recognized St. Anthony, and they would have left you alone. Because St. Anthony just got sick and tired, and he took off. Adios, muchacho. Okay? That's who this is. Read up on St. Anthony. Read up. He just got fed up, and he walked away. because he couldn't stand the people around him. Now, this is ruled by Virgo. Have you ever known any Virgos who were just kind of irritable because they didn't like the surroundings? My mom was a Virgo. My dad and my brothers and I would be downstairs watching TV. My mom would be upstairs in her living room with her chandelier, sipping tea by herself. St. Anthony. Okay, let's keep moving. Oh, I don't have much time left. I may have to do part 2 of this next week. Would that be terrible? Would that be terrible? I don't know. The wheel. Notice what are in the corners there. A man with wings, an eagle with wings, an ox with wings, and a lion with wings. It says here the wheel of fortune, but that's really not what it is. Rota, toro, orato. This is the very wheel within the wheel that we read about in Ezekiel. If you can get through it, you should get through it. Just think about what's going on in Ezekiel. Ezekiel is seeing this magnificent sight, this incredible thing of wheels within a wheel that people try to describe as a wheel going this way and a wheel going the other way, and it moves this way and that way, and there are these cherubs. And what they represent are Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the 4 apostles, the 4 evangelists. Right? Matthew is the man, Mark is the lion, Luke is the ox, and John is the human. John is the eagle, rather. I'm sorry. John is the eagle. And so it's wild stuff. It really is, but it's all very symbolic, and it's all very deep. And the wheel represents this image. Now Crowley puts them on the Hierophant. Why? No, I can't get into that. Don't have time. We're gonna have to do the rest. Where this is number 10, so I'll do the rest next week, because I can't do another 10, and I was very optimistic today, and so next week I will finish up. But this is about more than just the Wheel of Fortune. Because what God does when he's booming these commands to him is talking about the future of Israel and what Israel has done. He's giving orders. Oh, thank you, Renee. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much, Anne. That's very kind of you. We'll do next week. So what he's doing is he's telling Ezekiel what he's going to do to Israel. He's going to destroy it. And what he's doing, he says, make a model of the city of Jerusalem and do these things, because everything you do in miniature, I will do to the city itself. Terrible things, horrible things. Go and I'm going to have a scribe make marks on the heads of the people of Jerusalem, and the ones that aren't marked by the scribe, they will die. It's like, oh my God! It's like the curse of the death of the firstborn in Egypt. The last of the 10. It's just horrendous. And this is that wheel. These wheels are within the wheels. It's a terrifying book. The wrath of God, There are those that will make it and those that won't. This is a story to terrify the people who read the book. I love this card. It's ruled by Jupiter. The king of the gods, by Zeus. Whoa! Thunder. How cool is that? If I have more to say about it next week, we'll start with this. Oh, I love this stuff. this. And so when they saw this, they knew right away what it was. They didn't have to guess, my goodness, is this the Roman Fortuna? No. They knew that it was Ezekiel. And they knew that it was about the warning, that everyone should pony up, so to speak, that everyone should do the right thing or suffer the wrath of God. Very different story than some things go up, some things go down. Here on this card, we have the serpent here, and we have Hermanubis going up, and we have the Sphinx, and it's a very different sort of story. There's so much more to Tarot than meets the eye. Hello, Joe. How are you? My friend, the Bishop. So proud of you, Joe. I mean, you're just so cool. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful, especially when you study things that give you chills. Right now I have chills up and down my back. We're talking about the book of Ezekiel, Joe. I happen to be talking about the book of Ezekiel, and we're going to finish this up next week. So we've gotten done with this. So if I'm totally confused and addled next Wednesday, remind me, if you will. I think I'll remember. I love you all. Thank you for being here. Until next week, I bid you all peace and love. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all. Bye, and see you later. Have a good week. Be safe.
Until next we meet, I'll be waiting for you right here in the Paisley Penny Arcade. 1